China loves calling itself a near-Arctic power. That's like me calling myself almost Mr. Beast. But no amount of branding gets you through.
I love this. I love this guy. Oh God.
The US military has a habit of delivering democracy with express shipping. At any moment, a bomber can take off and hit a target on the far side of the planet before you've finished a long movie. Sounds impossible until you realize it's not speed that makes it work, but reach. So how is that even possible? Keep watching and find out. The US wasn't exactly built for global domination. Sure, it rolled a nat 20 on geography, endless resources, ice-free ports, and 2 oceans as aquatic bodyguards. But that advantage cuts both ways. If enemies have to cross an ocean to reach America, America has to cross one to reach them. Now you can see why. For most of its history, the US kept its nose out of overseas politics. Hey, quit laughing. Crossing oceans isn't cheap. Sure, America teamed up with NATO in 1949, but before that, isolationist doesn't quite fit. The Monroe Doctrine was just the polite version of get off my lawn. Things started changing long before NATO was even a glimmer in Harry Truman's eye. It began with a so-called folly, Seward's Folly. That's when the Secretary of State, William Seward, bought Alaska from Russia for pocket change. The cost? $129 million in today's money. Less than what some blockbuster movies cost to.
But the purchase of Alaska was serious. It was the best bargain for the United States. Possibly one of them, if not the best.
Folly, Seward's Folly. That's when the Secretary of State, William Seward, bought Alaska from Russia for pocket change. The cost? $129 million in today's money. Less than what some blockbuster movies cost to make. The Russians thought they'd unloaded a frozen wasteland. Instead, they sold America a walk-in freezer full of gold, oil, and a century's worth of bragging rights. Sure, the oil's great. The actual bargain? The real estate. Those 9 military bases in Alaska became the perfect launch pad during the Cold War. America's way of saying, we see you. And they still matter today. Because sure, there's Russia and China. Yeah, China. Those Alaskan runaways, closer to Beijing than New York is to Los Angeles. Seriously. Suddenly...
No. There are places in Alaska that are closer to China than New York is to Los Angeles. That is crazy. Hey, wait.
China. Yeah, China. Those Alaskan runaways...
Wait. Look at this distance between Alaska and China. And they're closer than New York is to Los Angeles.
Closer to Beijing than New York is to Los Angeles. Seriously. Suddenly, the US wasn't just guarding its borders, it was...
Anyways, if you're watching for the first time, I am Onel. I am just an African dude. Here on the channel, we react to any and everything American. Their history, their culture, their geography, their military capabilities and stuff like that. So today we're checking out the real reason why the US Air Force has a global reach. I think that's the only Air Force in the world that has a global reach. Okay, so I want to know why. So I know you want to know. Probably you are an American and you might also not know why your country has a global reach. But if you do, check out the video with me to know more. If you don't, still check out with me to know.
Suddenly, the US wasn't just guarding its borders, it was reaching across the planet. Alaska changed the game. Those oceans? Puddles now. Just a few years after shopping in the frozen aisle, the US set its sights somewhere warmer. Aloha, the Kingdom of Hawaii. In 1875, they signed the Reciprocity Treaty. On paper, it was about sugar. In reality, it was about strategy. The US got dibs on a quiet lagoon, perfect for ships. Less perfect for Hawaiian independence. By 1887, Washington upgraded from visitor to landlord. Exclusive use of the harbor, coal, repairs, control. It was the geopolitical version of, I'll just leave my stuff here for a while. America won the Spanish-American War, and Uncle Sam went island shopping. Hawaii was annexed. That little lagoon leveled up into Pearl Harbor. The Philippines and Guam joined the roster. And Guam is Sam's favorite child. Sure, the island is tiny, 210 square miles, but it's spoiled. It's got everything an Air Force needs. 2 runways, enough fuel to fill 110 Olympic pools of please don't light anything, the Pacific on its doorstep. The palm trees are just a bonus. If the US Air Force was a boxer, Guam would be its pivot foot. The thing that lets it start throwing punches across the Pacific without losing balance. From there, bombers can leap from the homeland to any hotspot on Earth in hours. Around 100 aircraft sit ready at all times. In a crisis, 400. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the US picked up Puerto Rico. They planted a flag in Cuba and got a base at Guantanamo Bay in 1903. Suddenly, Uncle Sam had oceanfront property on both sides. Convenient, but a logistical nightmare. Cape Horn isn't cruise country. Down here, the furious 50s throw 50-mile-an-hour tantrums and 10-foot waves on a good day. And there are no good days. Further south, the screaming 60s join in. You don't sail here unless you've written your will in waterproof ink. So the US found a better route. The Panama Canal, the world's biggest shortcut. 6% of global trade squeezes through here every year. The French tried first and face-planted. The US took over, finished it, and flexed hard.
You know, when I found out that the US was the ones that built the Panama Canal, I was I was shocked. I was pleasantly shocked because that is a serious feat of engineering. It was a serious feat of engineering. I watched a documentary on that, and yeah, that was huge.
The US took over, finished it, and flexed hard. Technically, America handed it back in 1999. Technically, if things ever get dicey, it's still the US Navy holding the wheel. That's when America stopped dipping its toes in global affairs and cannonballed straight in. By World War II, Britain was buried in debt and Uncle Sam was holding the tab and the keys to its global backyard. Then came NATO. Then more alliances. Today, the US has formal defense pacts with 51 countries. That's a lot of friends to call when things go sideways. And it's not counting it's complicated relationships. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, and lately India. The Korean War supercharged it all. The alliances, the logistics, the sprawl. Now American bases are everywhere. At least 128 in 49 countries. Second only to Starbucks locations. There's probably more, but, classified. But those bases let the US keep setting the rules.
You know, I enjoy watching these kind of videos. I tell you the truth. Just knowing how these things have evolved through history to be where the United States is today. Because we just have this thing where they say the US struck Iran, the US it struck Afghanistan, they struck this place around the world, but it sounds just normal, but it's not. No, that's not something that anybody can just do. Not anybody can just fly in anywhere around the world, strike and then get back home. It's not an easy thing. So sometimes it's very easy for us to just take it normally, but I don't think it's normal.
Classified. But those bases let the US keep setting the rules. With outposts everywhere, the world starts to look a lot smaller and very much under new management. The United States has Europe covered like a clingy ex. Always around, always just checking in. Across Europe, America's everywhere. Bases, nukes, and 63,000 troops. It's like the military version of McDonald's. They're just missing a drive-thru. In East Asia, the US has more real estate in Japan than some Japanese companies, and still finds time to flirt with South Korea, the Philippines, and Australia. Commitment issues, global edition. Then,
I love this narrative.
there's the Middle East. the planet's gas station. 20% of the world's oil and nearly half of its gas sail under Uncle Sam's watchful eye. Turkey, Iraq, Bahrain. Got liquid gold? America's parked nearby. End result, the US isn't just in the band, it's conducting the orchestra. America's reach is so huge, the British Empire would be sweating through its red coats. It's got outposts at the literal ends of the Earth, like the Pituffik Space Base in Greenland, where even the polar bears need GPS. Population, about 150 troops and one very tired coffee machine. The nightlife's the Northern Lights, and the job description is watch the sky and hope nothing bad shows up. And speaking of work, if you like these map dives, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Apparently, you can't list Google Earth Explorer as a tax-deductible job title. During the Cold War, this icy outpost was packed. 6,000 troops, proving frostbite builds character. These days it's quieter, mostly missile warnings and space surveillance, no aliens spotted. Yet, but the runway still earns its keep. It's big enough for bombers, it's long enough for bombers, and just right for cargo planes, including the giant C-5 Galaxy, the Amazon Prime of the global projection. These things move everything. Troops, tanks, fuel, whatever keeps the flying circus in the air. If the Navy can't reach it, the Air Force just flies over and says, "We got this." The C-5 can even swallow an Abrams tank whole. A plane does that, and it's logistics. I do it with a slice of pizza, and suddenly it's concerning. Let's get back to the bombers. There's another base, one less remote than Pituffik, but still the kind of place your GPS rolls its eyes at. Head south from Greenland to Iceland, you know, the actually green one. On the Reykjanes Peninsula sits Naval Air Station Keflavik. It's busier than you'd expect for a place mostly known for volcanoes, sheep, and existential weather. In 2019, a B-2 Spirit bomber stopped off for a quick visit. It liked what it saw and refused to move out, which means something's up. The B-2 isn't exactly a low-maintenance guest. It's the military equivalent of a designer puppy. Needs constant attention, perfect lighting, and climate-controlled hangars just to keep its skin from peeling. And now, Keflavik's got the makeover room ready. So why all this effort for a windswept tundra and a bunch of volcanoes going through their moody phase? Well, in geopolitics, location is everything, even if the neighbors are mostly puffins. Alaska, Pituffik, and Keflavik are cheat codes. Each one lets the US Air Force shave miles off the trip to anywhere worth worrying about. Let's say Xi Jinping makes a move on Taiwan. The US Air Force needs backup from outside its regional bases, which, let's be honest, would already be taking a few hits from Chinese missiles. But there's a problem: the tyranny of distance. And no, that's not a death metal band's attempt at a power ballad. It's the actual term experts use. China gets to fight in its backyard. Uncle Sam has to cross the planet just to show up. From Los Angeles to Shanghai, nearly 6,600 miles of "are we there yet?" For the US, that's a lot of money and fuel burned. Risky, expensive, and sure to make someone in Washington think, is this really worth it? But Uncle Sam is playing on easy. The distance between Anchorage, Alaska and Shanghai is around 4,300 miles. Why Anchorage? That's where Elmendorf-Richardson Air Force Base is. Say China isn't the problem. Maybe Putin starts window shopping for more of Europe. Getting American troops there? Still a logistical headache. From Boston to Vilnius, Lithuania, it's about 4,100 miles. That's a lot of in-flight movies. But launch from Keflavik instead? Suddenly, the world gets smaller. The distance drops to just under 1,800 miles, practically next door. That's why those old explorers risked frostbite and scurvy chasing the Northwest and Northeast passages. The top of the world may be frozen, but it's faster. The distance between continents shrinks when you take the shortcut instead of the scenic route. America figured that out. Its rivals, not so much. China loves calling itself a near-Arctic power. That's like me calling myself almost Mr. Beast. But no amount of branding gets you through.
I love this. I love this guy. Oh God. I'm taking that one. Bro is cooking everybody. He's cooking everybody. Oh, nah. You gotta love him.
Not so much. China loves calling itself a near Arctic power. That's like me calling myself almost Mr. Beast. But no amount of branding gets you through sea ice. Russia technically can, but it's got ports that freeze half the year and put its ambitions on ice. These two no-limits partners have plenty of limits, because unlike the United States, they don't hold the choke points their economies depend on. They just get choked by them. This is the Strait of Malacca. It's the overachieving cousin of the Panama Canal. $3.5 trillion in trade sails through here every year, all squeezing through one watery bottleneck, 10 ships an hour in or out. But one country depends on it more than anyone else: China. 2/3 of its trade flows through here, 83% of its oil, and most of its natural gas. For Beijing, this isn't just a shipping lane, it's a stress test. The nightmare scenario? The US Navy drops anchors nearby and flips the off switch. China's been losing sleep over that for decades. It even has a name, the Malacca Dilemma. So it's tried to come up with a solution. Overland routes with Russia, naturally, but that has to come from Siberia, which is a really hard place to do business. Check out my video on that. Better think of a plan B then. In 2013, Xi Jinping rolled out the Belt and Road Initiative, China's attempt to turn global trade into its own delivery network. The shiny centerpiece? The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. The idea was simple. Skip the Strait of Malacca entirely. Ships unload at Pakistan's port of Gwadar. Then, oil and gas would cross land to China's Xinjiang province, a shortcut across mountains and desert. It's China's attempt to cheat the game, and the US. Why? Well, let's head south. This is one of the world's most remote and controversial islands, Diego Garcia, 2,200 miles off the coast of East Africa, smack dab in the middle of nowhere and halfway to Indonesia. Once a French leper colony, it's now the world's most strategically placed speck of sand. In 1965, the UK bought Diego Garcia from Mauritius, doing the heavy lifting here. Britain then granted Mauritius independence. Great timing. By 1966, the US had already called dibs on the island. The only snag, 1,000 islanders were already living on the empty rock. The solution? Relocation, empire style. Those who left weren't allowed back. The rest were shoved out. Even the dogs were killed to encourage cooperation. By 1971, paradise was paved over. The island had a shiny new runway. 1,000 people lost their homes so a superpower could park its bombers. Colonialism with added afterburners. Why all this trouble for a remote island? Of course, remember, location is everything. Look at where Diego Garcia sits compared to CPE. It's practically giving it the stink eye. China's Pakistan project hasn't exactly gone to plan. A railway went nowhere. The port of Gwadar, hemorrhaging money like a crypto bro. But let's say China makes it work. I know, but play along. It still has one massive problem: Diego Garcia, and it's packed with enough toys to ruin Beijing's day. 4 climate-controlled B-2 hangars, 2 long runways, bombers, fighters, tankers, transports, everything flies from here. Fuel stockpiles so massive, if the US didn't already own Diego Garcia, someone would be scribbling invasion plans on a cocktail napkin. It's less a base, more a floating sledgehammer in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's America's unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Indian Ocean. If push came to shove, the US Air Force could choke China's supply lines from here. No problem. Coincidence, then, that Beijing suddenly discovered its deep concern for Mauritian sovereignty? Nah, didn't think so. But supporting Mauritius' claim...
No, when you watch this kind of videos, it gives me the ability to see geopolitics visually. You now begin to understand why certain countries behave in certain ways, say certain things, support certain odd countries. And when you see a military base somewhere, especially by the United States, it's not a random thing. I know the US know it's not random, but I didn't used to think that it was just something that it is very strategically calculated to put that base there. And where that base is standing is keeping a lot of people uncomfortable, and a lot of deterrence comes with it. This video is teaching me way more than I expected to learn from it.
Evidence then that Beijing suddenly discovered its deep concern for Mauritian sovereignty? Nah, didn't think so. But supporting Mauritius' claim over Diego Garcia isn't just about justice for the former islanders. It's about eviction notices for the US and UK. Even if China pulled that off, it wouldn't fix its problem. The US might have grumbled when Britain agreed to hand the islands back to Mauritius, but it's hard to worry when you've got backup routes across every ocean. Let's rewind to the fall of 2001, a weird, angry time in America. For the first time since 1812, someone crossed an ocean to hit the mainland. So the US decided to return the favor by air. On October 7th, the Spirit of America took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. It was a B-2 bomber built for one thing, reaching anyone, anywhere. The B-2 is a flying gas tank with wings. It can cover 6,900 miles without stopping. The Earth's diameter? 7,900. This thing can almost fly to the other side of the planet in one go. Forget New York to London. Try New York to Tokyo with legroom. This was just after 9/11. The destination? Afghanistan. And the B-2 was packing. It was hauling 16 GPS-guided JDAM bombs, each one a precision-guided "don't mess with us" message for the Taliban's air defenses. But all that muscle came with a price. Range. The planet suddenly felt a lot bigger. 4 hours after leaving Missouri, the Spirit of America hit the California coast, just in time to meet another Air Force masterpiece, the Flying Gas Station. The US Air Force has about 600 tanker aircraft, 3/4 of the world's total. Without them, those far-off bases would be little more than expensive parking spots. The first refueling happened at sunrise. The mission stayed in daylight on purpose. Melatonin and billion-dollar aircraft don't mix. You don't want your pilots nodding off mid-global strike. The bomber refueled again over Guam, then over the Strait of Malacca, something that'd make Beijing's blood pressure spike today. It then made one more mid-air pit stop near Diego Garcia, which always has tankers ready. Topped off, it turned north toward Afghanistan. By then, the pilots had been in the air for more than 24 hours. When they hit the Pakistani coast, they popped what they called pick-me-up pills to stay awake. Caffeine just doesn't cut it when your office is a stealth bomber. On a trip that long, something was bound to change, and it did. By the time Spirit of America reached its target zone, 70% of the objectives had shifted. So, as night fell, the pilots reprogrammed their JDAMs mid-air. Nothing says high-stress job like redoing your homework while crossing continents. They dropped their payloads undetected, helped secure air superiority, and started heading home, until new orders came in. 4 JDAMs left, 4 new targets. Mission accepted. The fuel was running low. No problem. A tanker over the Arabian Sea swooped in like DoorDash with jet fuel. Refueled, they hit Afghanistan again, dropped the last bombs, then topped off once more for the flight to Diego Garcia. 44 hours in the air. It's the longest B-2 mission ever. Nearly 2 days in the cockpit. Even the plane's toilet gave up halfway through. Next time you're complaining about a long flight, remember these guys went 2 days without plumbing and with enough firepower to erase a city. Perspective. But this mission was just the dress rehearsal, the warm-up act before the main show. It was the kind of mission that used everything the US had built since it accidentally wandered out of its hemisphere in the 1940s and didn't book a return ticket. Bases, alliances, refueling stops. The global version of leaving your toothbrush at someone's house and deciding you live there now. It started on June 13th, when Israel skipped the usual shadow games and went straight for the main event with Iran. Nuclear sites lit up like a Christmas tree. Even scientists started calling in sick. But the crown jewel was the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, buried deep, hardened, and way out of Israel's weight class. The F-35s and F-15s are sleek, fast, and deadly, but when it comes to bunker busting, they're bringing a pea shooter to a fight. The US watched closely, popcorn in one hand, satellite feed in the other. They saw an opening. Why let Israel have all the fun? Operation Midnight Hammer was born. When America plans a mission, it can't resist giving it a name that sounds like a 1980s action movie. Diego Garcia was the obvious launch pad. Close, quiet, and conveniently stocked. Each B-2 carried two 30,000-pound bombs, the kind of cargo that makes turbulence personal. Short flight, no tired pilots, no toilet trauma. But while the world's eyes were on Diego Garcia, the Air Force pulled a magic trick. 7 more B-2s quietly slipped east across the Atlantic, refueling at mid-ocean pit stops like Laja in the Azores, a Portuguese island chain that's basically Europe's Airbnb for bombers. Once the B-2s crossed the Atlantic, they linked up with support aircraft. The Pentagon called them 4th and 5th generation. Military speak for expensive and shiny and something we don't want the taxpayers asking about. Where they took off from is anyone's guess. Ramstein in Germany, the biggest US base outside of America? One of the others scattered across Europe? Who knows? That's the perk of global real estate. You're never out of options. Then came the main event. The moment the B-2s slipped into Iranian airspace, the region lit up like the 4th of July. The US Navy had ships and subs lurking nearby. If the Air Force throws a party, the Navy's bringing fireworks. Over 2 dozen Tomahawks launched, all perfectly timed.
If the Air Force throws a party, the Navy is bringing fireworks. I love this guy. He's too good.
The region lit up like the 4th of July. The US Navy had ships and subs lurking nearby. If the Air Force throws a party, the Navy's bringing fireworks. Over 2 dozen Tomahawks launched, all perfectly timed. Nothing says teamwork like synchronized explosions. At 2:10 a.m. local time, the first B-2 dropped its 2 bombs on Fordo. Then came the rest. 14 bombs in total, each one found its mark at Fordo and Natanz. Meanwhile, the cruise missiles struck Isfahan last, keeping Iran guessing till the end. In all, 125 aircraft played their parts. President Trump later added that 52 of those were tankers. Even global airstrikes run on gas. And the result? Every plane that entered Iranian airspace left untouched. Iran didn't even get a shot off. It was like showing up for a duel and realizing the other guy already packed up and left. The flight to the target area took 18 hours. Add the bombing run and the trip home, and it totaled 37 hours. No confirmed reports about the toilet status, though. Probably classified. The damage? Serious, but not fatal. Iran's nuclear sites were hit hard, though not erased. Tehran could rebuild if it's willing to burn a mountain of money, time, and national ego to do it. But the real takeaway came from the skies. The US Air Force proved a point that night. There's no ocean too wide, no airspace too guarded. If Uncle Sam wants to knock, he doesn't need an invasion, just a flight plan. In the end, the United States unlocked the ultimate cheat code. It's something every gamer, fighter, and wannabe superpower dreams of. Thanks to its engineering brains and global network of friends with runways, America can hit without getting hit back. At least, most of the time. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.
Oh God, he asks, I hope you enjoyed the video. I absolutely enjoyed that video. It is almost perfect, a video, you know. And guys, I think this is one of the best videos I've watched in a while. He is just hilarious while explaining facts though. And I guess to explain why, you know. And the fact that the US Air Force can strike anywhere, plus the US Navy anyways, is a lot of support around the world for these things to be flying about and delivering freedom everywhere. Thank you for watching up to this time. Love you. Take care of yourself.